Like after Rich.
Yep.
After Rich, then they'll read her bio and she walks up. Okay, sounds great. I don't know, but I don't know. You better do as you're told.
In case anyone needs to use the restrooms, they are located in the through the public meeting room door to the right of the Township flagpole.
I don't know what I'm doing.
All right?
Stay like that forever. Hey, just thoughts on next. Take pictures like that.
I wouldn't say that too loud. Sorry. Hey, how's it going? How are you? Yeah.
Yes, other guy.
I'm very good at the opposite. I moved away at
My face.
The dream had always been to return the pole to the circle and create, for the first time, a unified Whitehall Township Central Veterans Memorial. In addition to Memorial Day today would have been the 100th birthday of President John F. Kennedy. It is fitting today to echo the words of the late president that he spoke on Inauguration Day in 1961. My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. How fitting on this Memorial Day when we honor those that did for their country and gave the ultimate sacrifice of their lives for our country. On behalf of the 27,500 residents that call Whitehall Township home, our Board of Commissioners who are all present today, President Phillips Armstrong, Vice President Dennis Hauer, Secretary Thomas Sloniker, Linda Snyder, Philip Ginder, Jeffrey Dutt, and Joseph Marks, Tax Collector Diane Hunsiger, the 46 members of the police force, our 150 volunteer firefighters, our 60 township employees, and our hundreds of volunteers that make Whitehall the great place it is to live. Thank you to the Veterans Memorial Committee and all the hard work that they did in the last 2 years to make this dream a reality. Today we are also honored by the I'm sorry, Zach, I gave you a promotion. Our state representative, Zachary Mako. Zach, you're here somewhere. We thank you for being with us today. This memorial is now a daily visible reminder of the ultimate sacrifice made that everyone driving on MacArthur Road, and there are 40,000 cars per day on this highway. It is a visible reminder of the sacrifice made by all of the veterans and support staff that lost and gave their lives for our country. Our first speaker, we are honored to have Lieutenant General Richard Kramlich with us. He received his Marine Corps commission in June of 1973, following his graduation from the United States Naval Academy. In June 1974, after completing the basic school and ground supply officer school, he was assigned to the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing. He was subsequently ordered to Okinawa in 1976. After transferring back to the States, he attended Naval Postgraduate School and graduated in March of 1979 with a Master's of Science degree in Material Management. Returning overseas in June of 1982, he served with the 3D Supply Battalion as officer in charge. Upon his return in 1983, he was assigned to Headquarters, Marine Corps. Over the next 10 years, he has had many assignments, including officer in charge, supply management unit during Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. In April 2000, he took command of Marine Corps Logistics Base in Albany and Georgia, and was promoted to Brigadier General in October of 2000. He was reassigned in June of 2003, assuming command of the 1st FSSG, and deployed that organization in March 2004 with Marine Expeditionary Force in support of Iraqi Freedom II. After relinquishing command in 2005, he transferred to Headquarters Marine Corps, and in 2007 he was confirmed as Director Marine Corps Staff. Since retiring from the Marine Corps, he has worked as a senior mentor for the Marine Corps Air Ground Task Force Staff Training Program, advising and mentoring Marine officers and staff. Please welcome Lieutenant General Richard Kramlich, retired.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Hoser, for the nice introduction. It seems like a long time ago, but I certainly remember fondly my days at Whitehall High School, and it's certainly great to be back. I'd like to also recognize for the work you do in our veterans hospitals, with that sense of service and sacrifice example for all of us to follow. All over America, during this Memorial Day weekend, people are visiting some of our most iconic memorials. The Tomb of the Unknowns at Arlington National Cemetery, the USS Arizona, sunk December 7th in Pearl Harbor, and still holding the remains of nearly 1,200 sailors and Marines. The stark, polished black wall of the Vietnam War Memorial in Washington, D.C., containing the names of over 58,000 men and women who died in that conflict. And the fields of battle at Gettysburg, right here in Pennsylvania. Each of these solemn locations honors the sacrifice of brave American warriors who answered the call of this great nation in a time of crisis, when freedom and democracy were threatened. There are also free and democratic nations in Europe that grasp the sacrifice made to preserve these notions. In preparing these remarks, I came across an article written by a Belgian professor named Benoit Rozan, whose parents were teenagers in Nazi-occupied Belgium in the 1940s. They were deported to France, and when the war was over, walked over 500 miles to return to their ransacked, destroyed country. They learned during those terrible years about the alternatives to freedom, and they made it a point to educate their children on the sacrifice that had been made to overcome the totalitarian state that was Nazi Germany. Stark reminders were still common, even in the early 1960s. Bombed out buildings, collapsed bridges, and acres of white crosses in cemeteries where American soldiers were buried. As Roseanne grew, he watched the replacements of those buildings, watched new bridges erected. Yet his father would continue to take detours on the family trips to see the one reminder that did not change with time: the white crosses. His father was persistent, impressing on the son that each of those crosses represented the life of a young man who had left a family behind to fight a noble cause on foreign soil. As a grown man, he now understands the depths of the tyranny that threatened Europe, and now sees that freedom was delivered by the bravery of young Americans. Those crosses depict that bravery, and we are here today to honor and remember their service. This tradition of Memorial Day was established following the Civil War to commemorate the ultimate sacrifices made to preserve our Union and Constitution and to heal the wounds of that national struggle. Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., who fought in that war and later became a Supreme Court Justice, said that Memorial Day should, and I quote, solemnly reaffirm from year to year a national act of enthusiasm and faith, because to fight out a war, you must believe in something, and want something with all your might. You must be willing to commit yourself to a course, perhaps long and hard. The president of this great country during those challenging years, Abraham Lincoln, has a quote carved in stone at the entrance to Arlington National Cemetery that addresses this sense of purpose, and it states, "Not for fame or reward, not for place or rank, but in simple obedience to duty, as they understood it. These men suffered all, sacrificed all, dared all, and died. They were common citizens doing uncommon deeds, showing uncommon courage. All in the name of duty. Our country is great because of their sacrifice, and we should feel obligated to nurture the freedom that they and others before and since have fought and died for. To those who have seen it and lived it, there is nothing glorious about war. It is mankind's most tragic waste, the failure of nations to not find other means for resolving differences is the burden that those who wear the uniform must bear. And generation after generation have been subjected to that failure and have sent its young off to battle. The men we honor were not seeking glory, and the family and friends left behind would trade in a second any so-called glory earned to have their loved ones back. The challenge now is for us to live up to the glory that they have indeed brought to this country, for us to make this free and prosperous country worthy of their sacrifice. Senator John McCain, a naval aviator and prisoner of war during the Vietnam conflict, once stated, and I quote, "In America, our rights come before our duties, as well they should. We are a free people, and among those freedoms is the liberty to sacrifice or not for our birthright. We no longer have military conscription, nor do we need it, because we can rely on the patriotism of more than sufficient numbers of Americans to defend willingly the liberty of us all. Those who wear the uniform of the United States know the meaning of American citizenship. But I do not believe that war and military service are the only means to honor America. God grants us all the privilege of having our character and our patriotism tested. If we claim our rights and leave to others the duty of protecting the nation, whatever we gain for ourselves will be of little lasting value." You can see then that we all have a responsibility to honor those that gave all, and it is a responsibility that goes beyond those of us who have sworn an oath to the Constitution. All of us are guaranteed remarkable rights under that document, rights that no other country can emulate. As citizens, we should be ready to answer the call when it comes. It may not be a call to duty or a call to arms, but merely a call to volunteer in a community, to stand up against discrimination, to assist the unfortunate, to serve on a jury, or perhaps more importantly, to vote our conscience in an informed manner. There are many ways we can make this democracy stronger. These are challenging times, but we are in this together as a nation, and we must find a way to blend the multitude and diversity of our collective talents and dream to a common goal. Our great democracy will prevail. This is the greatest country in the world, and we owe a great debt on this Memorial Day not only to hundreds of thousands who died in the service of this nation, but also to those who are serving today, many in far-off lands that are in conflict. It has been said that America will only be the land of the free as long as it is the home of the brave. So it is also up to all of us to support and appreciate the awesome responsibility taken on by these dedicated patriots. And this memorial here is an example of that. And my hat is off to the Township. It's off to all the people that made this possible. The words of Mayor Hoser that this will be a symbol of this country and a symbol of the sacrifice of many people anytime you drive past it. And I think it's going to become a gathering place on days just like this. So we thank all the people that came today. I'd certainly like to thank Anna Rodriguez. No one has sacrificed more, and we cherish the service of your son Nicholas. So once again, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to here. It meant a great deal to me and my family.
Our next speaker is Chief Warrant Officer Richard Gladish, retired. Richard entered the Coast Guard in 1983, completing basic training at Cape May, New Jersey. He attended Aviation Survival Technician School in North Carolina and trained at the Navy Rescue Swimming School in Florida. His first assignment as a helicopter rescue swimmer was Coast Guard Air Station Brooklyn, New York, where he achieved another promotion to a Petty Officer Second Class. His subsequent aviation tours were in Massachusetts, where he achieved Petty Officer First Class. He decided to stand down from flying and accept the position as a recruit company commander at Training Center, Cape May, New Jersey. This new assignment as Chief Petty Officer began in 1999 and ended in 2003. He was selected for advancement to Chief Warrant Officer and commissioned on June.
That's an honor in itself. I'm honored because I can speak here on behalf of all those that are no longer here with us that served and were in uniform. So I get to speak for them. It's great seeing a Boy Scouts here because that's where I started, and that made a difference. I think that kind of put me in the right track for enlisting in the military when I was 18 years old. So what I'm going to do today is give everybody here a little bit of history lesson about Memorial Day. And the wonderful thing about that, you're never too old to learn, because I learned a couple things on the way. Just because I did 31 years in the Coast Guard doesn't mean I knew everything, and you still don't. I'm honored to be speaking here today on this occasion. We're here to honor our service members and remember the sacrifices that they made for our country. The service members we honor here today came from all walks of life, but they shared several fundamental qualities. They possessed courage, pride, determination, selflessness, dedication to duty, and integrity. All the qualities needed to serve a greater cause than oneself. Many of them didn't ask to leave their homes to fight on distant battlefields. Many didn't even volunteer. They didn't go to war because they love fighting. They were called to be part of something bigger than themselves. They were ordinary people who responded in extraordinary ways in extreme times. They rose to the nation's call because they wanted to protect the nation, which has given all of us so much today. Millions of Americans have fought and died on battlefields here and abroad to defend our freedoms and way of life. Today our troops continue to make the ultimate sacrifices. And even as we lose troops, more Americans step forward to say, "I'm ready to serve." They follow in the footsteps of generations of fine Americans. The idea for Memorial Day, originally called Decoration Day, arose from the ashes of the Civil War. Following the Civil War, at least 620,000 Americans, both Union and Confederate, had been killed and hundreds of thousands more were maimed. Through the course of the war, Americans had blasted each other's lines with cannons and burned cities and towns on our own soil that we stand on today. The war's unprecedented carnage and destruction was on a scale not even imaginable a few years before, and it changed America's view of war forever. From those dark times, it was the families who were honoring their dead that began to bring the light of reconciliation to this country. Although there are different versions of how Memorial Day began, one story goes that the grieving families, both Northern and Southern, began decorating the graves of their lost soldiers with flowers and wreaths. In one city in Mississippi, people decorated the graves of both Union and Confederate troops out of respect for the families of the Union soldiers, and with the hope that someone would do the same for their lost ones in the North. These informal honors led to the first formal Memorial Day observance in Waterloo, New York on May 5th, 1866. Congress officially recognized Memorial Day as a federal holiday in 1887. Since then, with the passing of each year and subsequent conflicts, we've continued to honor our troops. We have awarded medals to many soldiers, added their names to monuments, and named buildings for them to honor them for their bravery. But nothing can ever replace the hole left behind by a fallen service member. And no number of medals and ribbons can comfort the ones left behind. Thank you for answering the call to duty, each and every one of you that served for our nation in the capacity that you served. You have made our armed service the most respected armed service in the world. Today, people throughout the country will gather today to remember, to honor, and to pay tribute to those who have served our country. Our gathering is just one small spark in the flame of pride that burns across our nation today. It's not a lot, but it's one small way we can honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice so we can live in our freedom that we share today. Your presence here today and that of people gathering all across America is a tribute to those lost troops and their families. It's a way to say we remember. From the soldiers who shivered and starved through the winter at Valley Forge, to the doughboys crouched in muddy trenches of France, to the platoon who patrolled the hazy jungles of Vietnam, and the young man and woman patrolling the mountains of Afghanistan, remember and honor them all. Thank you for all attending today. This is a terrific turnout for a terrific reason. God bless you and your families, and God bless our troops, and God bless our country, America. Thank you.
Student athlete at Whitehall High School. She is a high honor roll student and is a member of the National Honor Society, Spanish National Honor Society, Science National Honor Society, English National Honor Society, and a member of Mu Alpha Theta. Very good, I got that right. She was recognized as the November Girl of the Month by the Women's Club of Whitehall. She has a GPA of 4.354. She is a member of the Zephyr Nation, the Weightlifting Club, Student Council, Student Focus Group, President of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Student Athlete Council, Student Representative for the EPC, a volunteer for the Special Olympics, and takes part in Whitehall's peer mentoring program. Kara is a four-year starter at the varsity level for field hockey, soccer, and softball. She was named captain for her sophomore, junior, and senior years for all three sports. Her future plans will be to attend Michigan State University. We will forgive you for that. To major in civil engineering and continue her field hockey career. Kara.
I want to thank you all for inviting me out here today. It's truly remarkable, the turnout, and if you asked me a year ago that I would be doing this, I don't think I would be. A little background on my speech. This year I took a public speaking course for the high school, and they introduced me to the Voice of Democracy speech competition. And every year it's run by the VFW, and it sponsors a lot of students, and it provides scholarships. And the prompt this year was My Responsibility to America. October 3rd, 2016, the day of my grandfather's funeral, a Naval War veteran who carried a smile everywhere he went. It was his funeral that I realized my true responsibility to America. As my family and I walked behind the casket, covered with an American flag, toward the gravesite, the ceremony began. The Catholic War Veteran Post 454 Commander and Honor Detail stood in line and called, "Prepare for roll call." The commander then proceeded to call John Smith, United States Navy; James Reed, United States Army; George Green, United States Air Force. The honor detail makes their presence known after their names are called by the commander. The commander turns toward the casket, calling out, "Frank Gober, United States Navy," and called again 3 more times, with no response. At that moment, the bugler began to play as tears streamed down everyone's faces. It was then that I realized my true responsibility to my country. Respect those before me, honor those now, and have the courage to make a difference in the future of America. The idea of respect is so widely used and encouraged, but very minimally given to the people who deserve it the most. The ceremony at my grandfather's funeral has brought upon a new level of respect for the soldiers and veterans of our country. Being separated from your families with minimal communication, being forced to go through harsh conditions with scarce food supplies, or even knowing that you might not see the person next to you fighting tomorrow, sheds light on the stark reality of going to war. It is unimaginable to think that kids my age were risking their lives in the war rather than sitting in a classroom getting an education. How would you respond if you were encouraged to enlist in the war? Would you accept? When it came down to it, most soldiers did not have to think twice when it came to enlisting. Often people say, respect is not given, it is earned. Veterans of the war earn their respect, and it is my duty to spread that belief to others. My duty to help Americans appreciate their given opportunities and devote their gratitude to the veterans who have fallen, who are still living, and who are currently making sacrifices every day. Duty, honor, country. Those 3 hallowed words reverently dictate what you ought to be, what you can be, what you will be, as stated by General Douglas MacArthur to the cadets of the U.S. Military Academy. My responsibility to America is to give credit where credit is due. Honor those from the world wars. Honor the firefighters from 9/11. Honor the creators of our Constitution. Honor our flag that stood strong during the American Revolution. I make it my duty every morning to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in my classroom, while so many students shy away from the opportunity to honor America in the most simple way. Commemorate the people who have put their lives on the line for the safety, freedom, and dignity of our country. Courage, the mental strength to venture, persevere, and withstand difficulty. My responsibility to America is to have the courage to stand up for what is right. The capability to voice my ideas without fear of the backlash from opposing opinions. Have the courage to reinforce others to do the same, and use their basic freedoms given to them as a citizen to their advantage. My responsibility is to bring a positive difference to America. Encourage others to use their right to vote in an upcoming election, or even to petition against an idea that does not reflect on the values they believe in. As best said by Mahatma Gandhi, it's easy to stand with the crowd. It takes courage to stand alone. My responsibility to America is to be the person that has the courage to stand alone. Be a voice that wants to make a difference for the greater good of this country and prompt the concept of peace and prosperity for the future of America. The commander of the Catholic War Veteran Post 454 finished the ceremony with a presentation to my grandmother of 3 bullets and a final statement saying, "A bullet for duty, a bullet for honor, and a bullet for country." Here is the flag of your husband. Honor it and protect it just as he did. My responsibility to America is to respect those before me, honor those now, and bear courage for the greater good of our country in the future. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming. As a Gold Star mother, I am honored to have been part of the Memorial Committee. A dozen or more of the residents work very hard in making this possible. This memorial is a wonderful way to pay tribute to our veterans, past, present, and future. 6 years ago, I gave my heart and soul when I lost my son. Showing tribute is something that has become very important to me over the past few years. I come from a long line of families serving in our military, and they have given so much as well. Dedicating myself to our veterans and raising money for veterans memorials, such as this one, has become part of a healing process for me, and I found new meaning in supporting our military. I've met some interesting people through this journey, and I appreciate their support and dedication. Whitehall has become home for me, and being part of this committee has made it very special. So I would like to thank Mayor Ed Hoza, Township employees, the council members, residents, businesses, donors, friends, and family for joining together for what I see as continuing my healing. I am a Gold Star mother, and I always will be. But I will take what I have learned and continue my support of the military and our veterans, honoring them for their sacrifices, for if it weren't for our veterans, we would not have our freedom. Please enjoy this memorial, for it stands for our veterans that have given so much for that freedom. Thank you.
Please remove our covers. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father,